Hi everyone, I'm Toluca from Markers and Minions, and this is my Facebook group. Welcome. If you are a new member, be sure to read the pinned post at the top of the page. It's one of the highlighted announcements. So just be sure to read through that, and you'll learn where to go to find some neat resources. I've gotten a lot of questions this week specifically about where to find like pictures of my planning templates or different kinds of charts. Excuse me, I'm sick. And so those can all be found under the photo albums. If you click photos within this group, you'll see it broken down. There's lots of albums by unit. And so anytime I have pictures that I have to share for each unit, I'll post them there, I'll organize them that way. And then anytime I'm planning using my templates, I'll take a picture afterwards and just kind of upload it there. Some other people do as well for other grade levels when they feel like it. So you might be able to find other grade levels in there as well. There are lots of ways that you can connect. I have this group page. I have a different Facebook page, just Markers and Minions in general. I've got Instagram and a website, markersandminions.com. I'm on Pinterest and all the things. So I'm there if you need me. Feel free to message me anyway, and I'll try to do my best to help you out. Okay, so before we start with today's objectives, I want to go over my plan book. Okay, so here's the update. It's printed. I ordered 500 copies in an effort to keep the cost down. I ordered the 2 through 6 version of it. So if you're familiar with my planning templates, those are free on my TPT shop. There are 2 different templates to help you plan your units. One is the K1 version because your curriculum looks different than the 2 through 6 template. So that grades 2 through 6 template is the one that is included in my planner. I tried to do both. I wanted to do like 250 of K1 and 250 of 2 through 6, but they wouldn't let me break it up that way. It had to be separate orders. And so I just decided, for this first round, let's see how it goes. And I just have those 2 through 6 planning templates in there. So it's about 40 pages that are grade level specific. The rest of the planner is just a generic teacher planner. It's got all the teacher pages in the beginning that you might need, your calendar pages, notes, your daily lesson plans, your grade book, all of that. So that's generic. Anyway, so that's being printed. The printer is in Sacramento. So I'm going up to Sacramento on the 25th, and I'm bringing my husband and daughter, and we each get 2 free checked bags with Southwest. So what I'm planning on doing is picking up as many planners as possible and stuffing them in those free checked bags and then bringing them back with me afterwards. In the meantime, I know I've got this Burbank workshop coming up. I told them, the printers, to send me 60. And so I've got a bunch of boxes coming. They're supposed to arrive on the 17th, so this week. And they're really expensive to ship. So that's why I was hoping to not get all 500 shipped right now and just try to just get as many as I can in my suitcase when I go. So that's why I have like a limited number right now, and I don't physically have them in my hands just yet. I did figure out how to kind of do like a pre-order thing in a way on my website, where if you are attending the Burbank workshop, any of the workshops really, I have a special code where you input it when you're checking out and it waives the shipping. So since I won't be shipping it to you, you'll be picking it up in person at the conference. There's not going to be that extra shipping charge. And then it kind of helps me, organize it before the conference starts, like on Thursday and Friday when I do have the planners in hand. I'm going to print out any orders that I have that indicate with the code that you'll be at my conference, stick it in the planner, and then have those ready to go. 50-pound weight limit on the suitcases. Oh, don't tell me that. Okay, I'll figure something out. Yeah, each planner is just under 4 pounds. So we'll see. Yeah, so I'll have it all organized. That way the day of the conference, I can just pass them out to those of you that ordered ahead of time. And then I also have this little thing. Let me show you. Where'd it go? Here it is. This little neat thing that goes on my phone. And so then I'll have that too at the conference. So if you don't do the pre-ordering option, you can still get it there, assuming that I don't run out of the 60. Everyone wear the same clothes. Okay. I pretty much can only wear like 3 things at this point in my pregnancy, so I'm not too worried. My husband wears like the same thing every day, so it's all good. So what was I saying? So that, yeah, and then also right now at this stage, I'm just testing out my website and working out glitches with like shipping and tax and all of that. I've spent way too many hours and I've learned way more about coding and website development than I ever wanted to. But there's still glitches. So anyone who has ordered, thank you for kind of testing that out with me and helping me learn how to troubleshoot. And then, yeah, so everyone else who's not picking up at a conference, I will officially start shipping probably just after my Sacramento conference, like when I get home from that. That's on the 28th. So right when I get home from that, I'll start shipping them out. So it's not going to be right away. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have to go over for the planner. Let's see. If you are wanting to pre-order for one of the conferences, just let me know and I have that code for you. Roxana, the planner's $45. And then there's tax based on where you are. I had to figure that out and upload different tax codes for every single zip code ever manually. So that was fun. And then there's shipping, unless you pick it up in person. All right. So for today, what I want to do is go over basically analyzing data, not data, but analyzing types of skills that the kids are going to be seeing on their end of the year test. So if you've joined my group for a while now and you've been following me, you'll know that I'm really into data, analyzing data, sticking to standards, making sure that the standards are clear in my instruction, and then communicated clearly, even in the report cards. I was part of like the report card committee to rewrite them last year. So I want to help you all basically take your standards, look at that end of the year test, and break it down so that you can see exactly what's reflected and in what quantities on your end of the year test. So in our program, we have 4 interim tests. Interim 1 is the beginning of the year. You want to give that like one of the first few days of school as like a screener. And it tests the end of the year standards. So the kids do terribly on it, unless for some reason they already are familiar in that grade level's curriculum. Then fast forward 3 units. After you've taught unit 1, 2, and 3, you can give them interim 2. And then after 4, 5, and 6, give them interim 3. And then interim 4 is the exact same test as interim 1. So for me, I actually just printed it out again, right? Same thing. And then since it's the exact same test, you're able to take that one from the beginning of the school year and the one from the end of the school year, put them side by side, and measure the growth that way. So we did it last year. I had a huge jump, obviously, and it just makes you feel really good. But anyway, so we'll go over this last test together, see what standards are on here, what maybe you still need to work on with your kids before they're taking their end of the year testing, before you send them off to the next grade level. And then also, this kind of helps you communicate better to your students what their learning goals should be. So since doing this year, I've pretty much internalized these standards, and I've communicated them with my students all year long. They know there's 10 RI standards, 10 RL standards, and that basically every single day we're focusing on some of those. They are able to take their weekly and unit assessments, see exactly what standard they still need to work on, and then focus and make goals, learning goals for themselves as we continue the school year. So this is what I do before I give every weekly test, actually. I'll just go through it really quickly. Say, okay, number 1 looks like it's 3.6. Number 2 looks like it's going to be 3.2. So, and then the kids kind of have internalized the standards with me, so they kind of understand it. Or I'll just write the skill next to it. So, this can be found in your, it's on the website. Let me go to it so I can walk you through it. So start on your dashboard. Click on your grade level. And then scroll all the way down to assessment. You don't need to filter by unit. And then you'll see interim assessments and performance tasks. So when you click on that and open it up, there will be, my internet's really slow here in my new house. Anyway, there will be a list, and it breaks it down by the different interims. And that's where you can kind of print them off. We also have that, I have it anyway, as if like a physical book as well. But I prefer to just kind of print it off and then make copies. All right, so for 3rd grade, we've got our first story is The First Potlatch. And it's a Native American tale. Yeah, Native American tale. So these are going to be your mostly RL standards. So, and I kind of already did this one. Let me use a blank one so I can walk you through it. Okay. So here's number 1. And this is exactly what I do with the kiddos. So it says, what is the central message of the story? Say what's important. The kids will say, central message. Highlight it. And then go to your RL standards. Find the standard that has to do with the central message, which is going to be like 3.2. So it's the message, the lesson, the moral, the key events, the summary, main idea, all of that kind of thing is 3.2. So then what I'll do is write central message 3.2. And you can even put RL so that when we're tallying it up afterwards, it's easier to remember. So number 2 is a 2-parter. It says, why did the 2 sisters decide to hunt the strange bird? So that's important there because it's focusing on why 2 characters did something. So then I would say, well, that sounds like when we studied Unit 2, and we went over how characters and their actions influence the story. So then I might write character actions And that's going to be 3.3. Describe characters in a story. For example, their traits, motivations, or feelings, and explain how their actions contribute to the sequence of events. And then it's a two-parter, so part B is just finding a detail that supports that. And number 3, what does the word bragged suggest about Golden Eagle? Okay, so I might highlight that the word word, literally the word word. And I see that they have to determine how that word gives them information about their character. So that one I might say could be like context clues. They might need to have to go back to the text and figure out what that word might mean, bragged. It could also be the describing the characters, the 3.3. So I'm going to put context clues and then also character and put RL 3.4, RL 3.3. So it's been a while since we've done these. Unit 2, Unit 4, a little bit Unit 6. So we might need to do a little bit of a boot camp depending on how the kids are doing on these skills. Okay, number 4, it says, read the sentence from the passage, and then it gives the sentence in the box. They moved like shadows as they paddled their canoe toward the strange bird's nest. What does this sentence suggest about the sisters? That sounds like, this is a simile. So I think that's what it's getting at. They moved very quietly, they were very strong, they were very scared, they were very pretty. So they move very quietly because they move like shadows. So that's going to be figured non-literal language, and that's 3.4. So anything that has to do with words in context, words in context, either interpreting what a word might mean, or what kind of language it is, like non-literal versus literal, that's going to be your 3.4 standard. So you give them the paper version of the test. Yeah, first. And then they transfer it. I'm still doing that. Okay, number 5. How does paragraph 6 add to the story? I would highlight paragraph 6 because that's something where they just need to go back to the text. So my kids know whenever it references a paragraph like that, that signals them to go find text evidence. So that's just going to be your first standard there, right? 3.1, ask and answer questions that demonstrate understanding of a text, referring explicitly to the text as a basis for their answers. So RL 3.1, text evidence. So here's where I am so far. Number 6, which sentence from the passage is best supported by the illustrations? Then at this point, the kids would be jumping out of their seats going, illustration, graphic features. And that is going to be one of the later ones. 3.7. Explain how, Explain how illustrations contribute to what's being conveyed in the story. So RL 3.7. And the kids just say graphic features for anything that's a picture. So anyway, if you're giving like the weekly test, then you're already pretty much done because the weekly tests are only 10 questions. So I do this just really quickly, just so the kids know, so they see that transfer from what I've taught every day in our mini lessons to what it actually looks like on the test. That's something that I feel they still struggle with, even though they're being exposed to these skills and these standards over and over and over, and it spirals, and that's great. But then once it comes to an actual assessment with these types of questions, which mirror SBAC very well, we're in the middle, we just finished our ELA SBAC, hallelujah. So the types of questions are great, but sometimes I feel like the kids struggle with taking that skill that they've learned in class where they're highlighting and they're annotating and they're discussing and they might be filling something out and then actually applying it. So this has really helped them see that transfer and then really be responsible for their learning. Clear-cut objectives. So then the second part of this test, this first part of the test, so that first story, we've got a couple more skills here. We have, I just see narrator's view right away. I see purpose of the story, author's purpose. And then I see the word unable means. Okay, so that's quickly, that's context clues. Author's purpose, and then point of view. And I'm using familiar language, so these are the exact words that I use all the time in my lessons. Hi Lynn, how are you? SBAC is over for you. ELA is over. We finished it Friday. I have a couple kids who were out, so they have makeups, but then we just have math, which I don't, whatever. I don't stress about math as much. Almost done. And then we just have fun end of the year stuff. We're practicing our spring break dance. Our spring dance, and we have different, parties coming up. So it's just fun stuff. After we just need to get through next week, and then it's just fun stuff. Maybe I can kick this cold after next week. Okay, so then after that, everything looks like your RF standards. So these types of questions are mostly found just 1 or 2 on the weekly test, and then on the interims you'll see a lot of them. And so and the unit ones, any longer tests you'll see a lot of these RF ones, at least for 3rd grade. So number 10, which meaning of the word close fits the way it's used in paragraph 1? So that's context clues. So that's not an RF. That's the last one that's context clues. But then number 11 says in paragraph 1, the R in apart is pronounced like the R in, okay, so then I'll say, okay, it's R controlled vowels. Remember when we learned that a million years ago? No? Well, try to remember. It's RF. And I have not internalized my RF standards. I didn't even print it out. There's only a few, so it's probably RF1, decoding, basically. The O in arrow, so long O. Compound word, and then the second syllable of invite has the same vowel sound as, so it's more like long vowels. So and then compound, which is a language skill, right? Hi, Gail. How are you doing? Oh, interesting. Facebook has these little, it looks different now when you guys comment. It says your regular name and comment, but then next to you have like a little avatar, a little icon that I've never seen before. That's cute. Okay, so then the first part of that test is done. Now the second part of the interim is going to be an informational. So I haven't looked at every grade's interim. I have them all printed out here for every grade. So if you have a question specifically about your grade, I'm pretty sure I can pull it up and see. But you're going to have those 2 types of texts. And the purpose of having the 2 texts is so that you can really apply that last standard, which is it's always less than 14 for grades 3 through 6, and it's going to be 3.9, where or your .9 standard. It's where you're comparing and contrasting texts, whether it's the themes, the characters, the topic, whatever, the author. So now we have a text on bald eagles. It's informational. And I remember, and I've mentioned this a few times throughout the year, this year with you guys, is my kids in the beginning of the year, when they take this, they read about this, the bald eagle, and it's about what it looks like, basically, its habits, how they nest, they build nests, and their significance. Then, at the end of the test, it asks them to write, and then it has a little thing about a national bird, how the bald eagle is connected to our country. So, but in the end, the point is, it says, suppose that you visit a national park. Write a narrative telling what happens on your trip and what you see. You see a bald eagle. Describe the bald eagle. Okay, so then what do my kids do? They write an informational piece about the bald eagle. They tell me everything they learned, but they don't imagine that they're in a national park. They don't use any quality or any attributes of a narrative, a personal narrative in this case. There's no dialogue. There's no sequence, beginning, middle, end. It's not even a story. So that's why it's really important to analyze the prompt with them every week when they get that new writing prompt. But anyway, that's their next task, their next text. These are going to be all of our RI standards. So why does the author of the passage think that the bald eagle is a fitting name for these birds? So that sounds like maybe a question referring to about the author. Let me see here. Author's purpose. Then we've got what's the main idea, and then choose the 2 sentences that support the main idea. So that's the key details of the main idea skill. Which sentence would be the best caption? So then my kids would go, text features. What's the meaning of the word airy? So context clues. Do any of you communicate the objectives with your kids this way? Would they be able to know, look at a test question and know what skill is being assessed? Here they have, okay, this is interesting. They've got a chart, and these are all of the topics, and then they have to match it to where these are the different headings of the text. So it's kind of a mix of text features, right? Because they need to interpret the headings, subheadings, or whatever. But it's also main idea. So figuring out where that main topic would best fit. Hi, Amanda. I've been on spring break this past week. Lucky. That's a really late spring break. Hope you get over your cold. Thank you. Main idea. Okay. Okay. This one might be wrong. I'm just going to write author's point of view. If anyone wants a picture of this, I can post afterwards. So there's the skill breakdown for the second text. And then we've got a whole bunch of RF ones. And then another text. So the kids are reading 3 total. And then once you get to the end, they've got that, the prompt. So ideally, my kids know that when we analyze the prompt, I want this to see them pull out the 3 things. The main topic of their writing, the type of writing, and the source. So my kids just kind of write that on the side here. Or I might give them a colored pencil, and we color code it also. So they should be able to see that you are writing about visiting a national park. You see a bald eagle. That's important because that's going to be where you bring in your text evidence. You're going to write a personal narrative. And that's it. So that's the most important part. So then here are your writing standards. You would need to see a personal narrative. So that's point 2, I believe. I don't have them printed out. So you need to see like a beginning, middle, end. You need to see dialogue, and it's writing to a source, so you need to bring in that text evidence. So those are the 3 things that I would look at when grading this for content and organization. And so in doing this, it takes a little bit of time, but it's going to help you see exactly what you need to focus on. Help the kids see as well. So when I did this with my partner teacher last week, since we're taking our interim very soon, this was my copy, I found that there were 10 RL questions, 8 RI questions, and 8 RF questions. And I thought, well, why isn't it 8, 8, 8? And I went back, and it's because I counted I counted part B's as a separate question. But when it's grading those part A, part B's, they're counted as kind of like they're the same question, and they get like partial credit or no credit. So, but I counted them separately. So that's why mine looks uneven, but it seems like the standards are pretty evenly, or the topics are pretty evenly distributed throughout the test. And then that's when you can go through and say, okay, well, what standards are hit really hard? It's helpful. Okay. Hi, Elise. Good luck with your SBAC testing. How long do you get? We got 4 days for ELA. Let's see. In the interim assessment book, I only see assessments 1 through 3. I see the e-assessment, but not the one in the book for me to print. So the assessments online, when you're going online and you're looking at the interim assessment book digitally, it'll break it down interim 1, interim 2, interim 3, and then all your performance tasks. But so what you need to do is print out interim 1, because it's the same thing as interim 4. It's literally the same test. It's kind of confusing. I don't know why they wouldn't just post it twice. 2 days for SBAC testing. That's a lot of time on the computer. We get 2 days for the CAT, right? That's what it's called, right? The CAT. And then 2 days for the performance task for ELA. So I printed out, I think this is 2nd grade. The text is so much bigger in 2nd grade, so you have a lot more pages, seems like. So your stories, the first one is a fiction. Let's see if you have a second story with nonfiction. Yep, and then a nonfiction piece. Another nonfiction, so like your first nonfiction is elephants, second nonfiction is smart animals, and it's more about elephants. So ours was like the bald eagle, and then it was the national bird. So it's a little more on it. And then they have to do those comparing tasks. So then in 2nd grade also, it's tricky because it says you've read 2 passages about elephants, and they're nonfiction passages. Imagine that you and a friend Or you and your family go to this zoo. So now you're writing an imaginative narrative. (8:45 to 10:15). That's what our block is too. We started at 8:45, we went to 10:15. I don't know how your kids are gonna finish, because my kids didn't finish. I paused them after, on the first day, I said get to halfway through, which was like question number 23 or whatever, and then you can start the next half the next day. But some kids, I had a couple kids who, it was just so easy for them and they were just breezing through. So I said, okay, just work at your own pace, see how much you get through. And on the first day, even my fastest kid didn't finish. He still had 6 questions. Our district is the same as yours, total of 8 testing days. Yeah, 8 altogether. I'm looking again, that's got to be wrong. It might not be though, Elise, because last year we did it that way, where it was 1 day for the cat, 1 day for the performance, I think 1 day for the performance task. I can't quite remember, but it wasn't as drawn out as it is this year. And then we had so many makeups. Our curriculum specialist is so organized, so it's been really smooth. The kids that don't finish just go right back after recess and finish up. And then we're done the last week of May. All right. Alrighty, guys. So I'll wait a couple minutes, see if there's any questions, but that's basically what I wanted to share with you. How to break down the skills and how that can lead to some really good data. Praise the Lord. 4 days. I did not see the part 2 days. Good. Then that will be plenty of time. Lynn, were you able to find it? Do you think these interims are good SBAC practice? I think so, yeah. Some of the questions on the SBAC, the questions are similar, but sometimes the tools or what they need to do is a little bit different than the online tools for our program. When they're taking it through the benchmark website, there's a pretty good mix of like part A, part B, and then drag and drop. But just kind of circulating, I noticed there's like other types on the SBAC, other tools that they might need to use. But that's more of like computer skills. But as far as the types,
3 of the most popular skills.
I said the word computer. Computer, stop. Okay. But yeah, the skills are pretty much good. Can we talk later about how you track the standards assessed? I'm going to a testing grade next year. Oh yeah, so Tina's moving from 2nd to 3rd. Yay! I'm happy about it. I know you're not. I'm actually, I'll show you a way that I'm thinking of how to keep track of what standards are being assessed. Now, if you've seen the assessment online assessment breakdown that I did on YouTube and on my blog. That's a really good way to see what's, like, you can break it down by standard or by student or whatever, so you can really target what you're looking for that way. But also I'm thinking of just for, making like a page for each student and just having all the standards listed, and then come up with some sort of like paper checkoff system. But if you're giving the weekly tests regularly, you can feel pretty confident that you're hitting all the standards. When I show the kids the breakdown, how there's really only 10 per topic, it's like they've done all of these. Like, I could read it to them and they go, oh yeah, and they can even like attach some of them to a specific unit. So they really spiral well. I think the benchmark weekly tests definitely help my students improve. Yeah. I'll probably do paper and pencil. These are long. Yeah, they are. So is the SBAC though. But definitely paper pencil is just so much easier for them. They can annotate, and it's easier to go back to the text and all that. Yay, thank you, Gail. So you're coming in Friday, right? To stay in the hotel. Where can you order the planner? I logged in late. The planner is on my website. I'm reluctant. I'll do like a big formal announcement like, hey guys, my planner's ready, like in a couple weeks, once these conferences are out of the way and I can really commit to sitting down and like shipping and generating all the reports from the back end of my website. But it is on my website, and if you're going to one of the conferences, which I can't remember if you are, Lynn, or not, then you could kind of like do a pre-order where you pick it up at the conference or the workshop. Tina, I have the same kids 3 years in a row. Now that's different. One of my little guys asked me if I was going to teach him in high school. Oh, how many kids are you looping with? Not the whole class, right? So first, second, and now third. I've only been giving a modified version of the unit assessment. Yeah, because they are long. Can you get the planner at the workshop, or should we pre-order? That's up to you. You can get it at the workshop. I've got one of those little square reader things. I've never used it, so it'll be like might be a little learning curve for me that day. But pre-orders, if you're ready, everything seems to be working, fingers crossed, well on my site. So you can use a code. It's up to you though. It's funny because like since it's the weekend, since I kind of publicized it on Friday, a few orders have come in, pre-orders, and then there's 2 ways to buy it. One is using a PayPal account, and that is really easy because it just goes to my PayPal account, so I can see, oh yeah, there's their name, and it shows that they got it. So it's a really easy report. And then the other one is to pay by credit card, which is through Square, this company Square. And it's all sitting on like this, they call it the Square dashboards when I log into Square. And I haven't figured out how to actually put that into my bank account. I suppose I need to figure that out soon. So it doesn't just sit in the internet. I looped with 5 last year. I'm not sure who I'm getting next year. I told them that fate is keeping us together. I'm so glad I got your help in benchmark. They're all trained. They're trained in all areas. Aww. That's a good number to loop with. I looped with 6. I looped with 4 this year. And then the year before, I looped with 6. That was kind of nice. It'd be hard to loop with the whole entire same class over and over. For me, anyway, I like to reinvent the wheel every year, so. All right, guys, I'll wait one more minute. Then I'm going to sign off. And let my husband and daughter come home. Do you need to give us a code now before we order? Paying with credit card, but I think my hubby has PayPal. I can try that. Don't worry. Whatever's convenient for you, Gail. I'll figure it out. So for Burbank, it's Burbank 4/21, the date. Oh, good, Leslie. Thank you. I'm glad it helped. I logged in late last week. Did you talk about an intro chart last week? Oh, for Unit 8? I don't think we talked about an intro chart. The intro chart I did for Unit 8 last year was, I did two charts actually, because for our 3rd grade standards, we have 2 big focuses. The first one is like climate zones, climate versus weather. So I did a big chart on that, which was actually, there was a chart in the, I think it's the week 2 text. No, it's the second short read in week 1, where in our text for close reading book, it has the whole world. And then, so I printed off every continent, and then as I did it, I shaded in pieces of the world with colored pencil to show climate zones. And then we kind of shifted the focus a few days later to natural disasters, and I did one on a tsunami. And so I had a big tsunami in the middle, and then we talked about the description, and there's a picture of this in my Unit 8 album, the causes, the impact, famous examples in history, so things like that. And then from there, the kids had to become an expert on their natural hazard or natural disaster, because that's the other big component of the NGSS 3rd grade. And so we had like hurricanes, we even had like dust storms. We had a whole bunch of disasters going on in the classroom. So there were those 2 charts. So since it's a nonfiction unit, Unit 8, I would recommend looking at your NGSS standards, which I think I did a video on that for every grade level, and taking the core standards and skills for NGSS and kind of making a chart out of that. That way it's easier to bridge the concepts and use benchmark as an additional science resource as best as you can. I wish I would have known to have the tornado book until this unit. Oh, yeah. So there's a novel study for different, I think it starts in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, I can't remember now, I've never done it. But there's a novel study that's included in the program if you search small group. And for 3rd grade, it's tornado. But it was with a different unit. I can't remember which one. 7? Might have gone well with Unit 8. But the Unit 8 texts are pretty good. Week 1 is like, you have a lot of non-literal language because you have a poem about different clouds. So you do fun cloud projects. And then climate zones text. Then next week is a fictional text about a boy visiting Alaska, the tundra. And it talks about the different climate there, and he's basically going back to learn about his Eskimo roots. So that's neat. And then week 3's text is super hard. We're skipping it. It's all about the intertropical, the zone of clouds above the equator. It's just tough. Elise says, we finish Tornado tomorrow. It's a good book. Did you do all the lessons that come with it? Yeah, Unit 7 is Tornado. My class is reading it now. So the lessons that come with the novel study, do you feel like those skills match what skills you would have been teaching if you were doing the text for close reading whole class lessons? Lynn, I wish I would have skipped Unit 7 and done Unit 8 first. It would have been good for open house. Yeah, that's what we did last year because our open house was later. And for Unit 7, we knew Unit 8 was a weather one. It was a big one. So for Unit 7, we just kind of breezed through it. Just did the 3 weeks. Didn't do too many like enhancing things. We did go on a field trip for it, but we do that field trip every year anyway. It just kind of matched up nicely. But then Unit 8 was a really awesome open house unit. Oh, neat. Okay, so depth and complexity. That's fun. All right, guys. Well, I guess I will see you all next week. I'll be around to answer any questions, especially as I get the planners on the 17th. So I'm sure I'll post more pictures and videos when I get those big boxes at my doorstep. So have a good week. If you're starting, your SBAC, good luck with that. And your kids will do great, and you're a great teacher no matter what. And we're almost done. See you all. Bye.